Do you have a boyfriend?
It's always how it starts.
Leave Benny alone!
Hello friends and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily Reddit content anywhere on the internet. Promise, swearsies, it's just a fact. It's science. Look it up. Anyways, today, of course, we are jumping right back into some r/NeckbeardStories. A little bit late because we've been having some problems with the internet, but I guess that's all part of living in the Philippines. So, I will make it up to you with an extra beefy video. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and jump right into this thing. The Cult of Neckbeards. Part 1. The Beginning. Hello everyone. I don't know how to format these stories, and this is being typed on a phone, so sorry if I spell something wrong. But after watching a couple of videos about neckbeard tales like Walter Fate and ReddX, hey, the shout out, I thought why not? So sit back and relax as I tell you the tale of Neckbeards. Yeah, I'm so stoked to have my name next to Walter Fate. I've been watching that dude for a long time, so that's a big honor. Thank you, OP. The cast, OP, the somewhat main character, I'll just use my real name for this, so Samuel, or Sam. Cobra is my best friend. I don't want to say his real name, so Cobra, because he likes snakes. Flamebeard is the leader of this cult of neckbeards, named because his scent could literally burn your nostrils. April was the poor love interest of Flamebeard. She's the stereotype of what's often called neckbeard bait. Short, Asian, and tiny breasts. She was also into art. Is tiny breasts part of it? I was unawares. And Sheldon. Again, not the real name, but he was named after a Ninja Turtle, so Sheldon. He's my other best friend. Shout out to whoever guessed his name right. Anyways, alright, enough of that. Let's begin. So, I knew Flamebeard since 3rd grade, but he became very creepy by the time we were in 6th grade. He became obsessed with finding a girlfriend, and he creeped on a couple of girls, including a Korean exchange student named, you guessed it, April, not a real name. He also wanted to make a club with our friend group. Flamebeard was a part of our friend group for a while, until the final straw broke the camel's back. He showed me something in art class. Flamebeard, well, OP, what is this? Flamebeard,
it's a marriage document for me and April.
OP, dude, we're barely in 6th grade. Why'd you make this? Flamebeard,
well, when I make April my girlfriend, she'll have to accept this.
OP, I would at least get her flowers first. Flamebeard,
whatever. You're just jealous because I have a girlfriend.
OP, dude, I'm not jealous, but okay, whatever. At this point, I wanted to see him try and get rejected because even my 11-year-old dumbass knew that this was a bad idea. It ended up happening the next day, as I was telling the friend group, and then this all happened. Cobra, no way, he's gonna get smacked in the face. OP, I know, right? Sheldon, why didn't you talk him out of it, Sam? Bazinga! OP, I tried to, but he insisted. Flamebeard now showed up with his right cheek bright red. OP sarcastically, well, how did it go? Flamebeard had this frown on his face. Flamebeard,
well, she didn't want to do marriage.
Sheldon trying to be nice. Well, maybe next time bring her flowers. There's plenty of fish in the sea. You'll catch one eventually. Bazinga! Flamebeard now had this evil smile all of a sudden. Flamebeard trying to sound evil.
You're right. There is plenty of fish in the sea, and I'm the shark.
OP. Okay. From that day forward, we didn't see him for a week or two, aside from me seeing him in art, but after that little encounter, he didn't talk to me. Oh no, he was staring at April, and then he would write something. Not draw, but write. It was suspicious as all hell. I would tell my friends stories about what he was doing. That's when we saw him hanging out with a couple of new friends of his. And like him, they were either nearly anorexic, or a bunch of messy, greasy hair, or very obese with very messy and greasy hair. That's not me judging people, because if you were there, you would agree. And then, shit hit the fan. They started wearing fedoras and black trench coats. Keep in mind, this is Texas. It is hotter than hell's basement down here during the beginning of the school year, and especially in my city. But anyways, there was this dance coming up for 6th grade. It was basically to celebrate the end of the first 6 weeks of middle school, and although it was not a prom, a lot of people wanted a date, including everyone that was involved in this cult of neckbeards. And this is where they got their reputation. I could hear "M'lady" everywhere in the halls, and then I knew that Flamebeard was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs when this happened. I'm doing something in art when I overhear this. Flamebeard.
Hi, April.
April. Hi. I now have my head turned to see what's going on when I see Flamebeard sit right down next to April. Flamebeard.
So, have you heard about the dance?
At this point, his smell is probably torturing her nostrils. April. Yeah, it's been all over school. Flamebeard.
Well, maybe we could go together as more than friends.
April, being the reincarnation of Abe Lincoln himself. No thanks, I'm just going with friends. Flamebeard.
But, m'lady, I've treated you well, have I not?
April. I know, but I don't want to be in a relationship or a marriage. Flamebeard, about to cry.
But I want you. I can provide for you, and we can mate and, and be together.
Oh, no. April. Dude, look, I'm not interested. Please respect that. Flamebeard, now getting angry.
Whatever. You're probably just gonna end up with a fuckboy who will rape you, you wench.
Nice guy. April was a sensitive little snowflake, so she started crying afterwards. Some guy then came and comforted her as Flamebeard sat his ass down on his phone for the rest of class. Asshole. Anyways, if I get, 4 correct guesses of Sheldon's real name, I'll do part 2 to this. Hint, it's a Ninja Turtle. Okay, well, bye. Is this what 6th grade is like now? Little baby neckbeards running around talking about mating? Bro, even if she wanted to mate with you, I don't think you're properly equipped to do so. God, Jesus, that's so horrible. OP seems pretty young. The writing is sort of poor, but, you know, I won't judge too harshly for that. I do believe that it happened. Even way back when I was in 6th grade, I can attest that 6th graders are definitely pretty weird. I recall the whole 6th grade class would like have to hold hands to go in and out to lunch or recess or whatever, and I'd always want to get next to this one girl and my hand was always sweaty because I liked her, and then like the whole situation would be uncomfortable because, you know, obviously my hand is super sweaty. She notices it's super sweaty. I know to myself why it's super sweaty. It's just a horrible situation that I insisted on putting myself in every chance that I got. And I never told her. I never said anything to her. I guess because we were too busy playing Pokemon, me and my little friend group. But yeah, these kids growing up fast now, you know, wanting to mate with each other. I just can't get over that. Oh, God. If there's a part 2, I'll read it, you know. At least it wasn't a giant wall of text, and I definitely do appreciate OP giving me a nod at the start, so holla. Anyways, let's get into another story and see what it brings.
I would date you.
So first, a little about me. I'm a 19-year-old male, female to male. So at work, people tend to misgender me, which led to this gem. I work at a hot dog stand and, oh boy, the types of people I see on the daily. I was at work and lo and behold, in walks this 50-something man. His mask under his nose, already there, I wanted to scream. After he ordered, he proceeds to pull his mask completely down, showing teeth that looked almost rotten. And when he spoke, he sounded drunk. He suddenly complimented my hair. It's dyed blue, pink, and purple, which led to him somehow saying something along the lines of,
So, how does your boyfriend like it?
OP, I don't have a boyfriend. Neckbeard.
Why not? You're so pretty. Are they all stupid?
OP, no, I just don't feel like having a boyfriend. Neckbeard.
If I had been your age, I would have dated you.
God, such a creep. The actual feeling going through my body at that comment, the "if I was my age" didn't hold up for long, as he made many other gross comments about
how hot I was and how he would like to date me.
This man then suddenly told me about his kids. Lo and behold, his daughter's around my age, which didn't make this any better. God. He also managed to ask me
if I drive.
Since I'm 19 and work far away, yes, I drive to work when I have the opportunity. Apparently this man is a mechanic and he won't shut up about how
I'll need his number if my car crashes.
I really didn't want to talk to him and really tried to avoid the topic since I'm already uncomfortable, but as he won't stop harassing me, I give in and write down his number. I still have it on my phone, planning some revenge. As I wrote it down, his last comment almost made me vomit. He took his food and looked at me before saying,
"Call me if you ever have problems with your car, or if you ever feel lonely."
A smug smile on his face. Let's just say I'm tired of old men hitting on me, let alone them thinking that I'll give them some just because they give me a compliment. Now, what do you guys think that I should do as revenge on this man? What can you do with a phone number? I would probably be the bigger person and walk away, OP. I'm not going to do anything with this phone number. I'll just be like, okay, that was a weird encounter. Moving on with my life. You don't want any, like, repercussions from, you know, if he figures out that you're the one that posted the phone number on 4chan. I'm not saying that that's what you should do at all, but if you were to do that, then just post a picture of a hot girl and say, "Hey guys, call me sometime," and post his number. And then he'll get a whole bunch of messages from fellow neck-bearded creeps lurking on 4chan. But don't do that. Don't do it. I'm not telling you to do that. Definitely don't do that unless, you know, you really want to. I mean, overall, he does seem like a creep and stuff like that, but he's just an old man trying to shoot his shot. You know what I mean? Old men don't get any less horny. You could have a 90-year-old man in a nursing home and he's still trying to, like, see some tits and ass of the nurses or something like that, you know? For women, it's kind of like, you know, they go through menopause and then their desire for that sort of activity drops off in a pretty big way. For men, nope. We keep making seeds right up till the end, just looking for somewhere to plant them. So, don't be offended, OP. You know, he's definitely a creep, but then you just shrug and go, what a creep. I do appreciate you sharing the story, but honestly, I probably would just throw the number away. There's no point in trying to enact some sort of revenge, especially on somebody who's just essentially a lonely old man, I think. But that's just me, you know? When I was working at the Renaissance Fair, I got kissed by a woman, tongue-kissed by a drunk woman who was about my mom's age. And I really was uncomfortable with that. She gave me her number, and at the end of the day, I threw it away. And that was basically sexual assault, but I didn't feel the need to go after her for revenge. I'm just like, poor drunk, lonely old lady. I hope I made her week a little better, I guess. I also hope she didn't have herpes. Just kidding. She didn't. She didn't! For reals, guys. Oh, God. Anyways, I'm liking these stories. Let's get into another one.
Why won't you be my soft boy lover?
Creepy Neckbeard writes a lovely fanfic about me. Aw, flattering. So I know how the spiel goes for new posters and all, and I won't waste your time. This story's a little long, and it happened some time ago, but I can still remember most of the details. This is just the basic gist of what I can remember, and also what I'm willing to tell you, since I do hate to think about it. Repressed memories for the win. TLDR's at the end. Here's who's involved. Tony, a friend of mine, and B, the Neckbeard. For some context, I was 13 at the time of this story. This was before all the pandemic stuff. God, how old are you now, OP? You're right pretty well. Better than some 20 and 30-year-olds I've seen on the sub. Anywho, my friend Tony and I were hanging out at lunch, talking about comics and nerd junk, when Tony suddenly noticed that Neckbeard was staring at me. At the time, I considered myself male, being gender fluid and all, so I was used to the weird looks of some of the kids in our grade. Born a girl, by the way. We ignored Neckbeard, though, since he wasn't really bothering us. Tony, hey dude, he's coming over here. OP. Oh? I turned around and watched as Neckbeard walked over to our table with a green notebook in his hands. He asked to sit down, and we nodded. Once he sat on the bench, he looked at me and asked if I was okay. OP? Yeah? Neckbeard?
Do you have a boyfriend?
It's always how it starts.
Leave Benny alone!
OP? What? I just kind of sat there, mouth open and confused, and he asked me again.
Do you have a boyfriend?
OP? No. Why? Neckbeard?
Great. I'm glad you're not taken. It makes it easier for us to work things out.
I thought he was pranking me, so Tony and I started to laugh. Neckbeard got pissed at Tony. He started, like, growling and hissing at him. It was so weird. I've heard about kids who hiss and act all protective and stuff, but this was beyond weird to actually see it in person. I don't remember the conversation Tony had with Neckbeard, mostly because I was laughing too hard. Neckbeard,
Back off! OP, man, I marked him.
Tony, bro, what? That sounds super creepy, dude. Neckbeard growling again.
We'll talk later.
After he left, Tony and I headed back to our lockers early to avoid being in the hallway with him during the lunch transitions. My school had lockers for 7th and 8th graders. The class went by, and I went back to my locker, and I noticed a purple piece of tape with a paper on it. I took it off and opened my locker, figuring I'd read it later in class. When I finally did read it, it was about 10 minutes before late bus dismissal. It was a whole love story about a handsome man and a cute soft boy, and how they had a beautiful relationship hidden from everything. It was all from the narrator's point of view, and really crappily written. I showed it to Tony while we were walking to the buses, and he pointed out that the soft boy character had my name and hair color and stuff. How could you not make that connection immediately? OP getting on the bus late while talking to Tony. Seriously? Ew! Tony, yeah, look, Neckbeard put his name as the protagonist. Pretty obvious, isn't it? When I got on the bus, Neckbeard walked over to me and pretty much threw me into the seat next to him. I flipped out, obviously, but he just looked at me and asked
what I thought about the story.
When I didn't answer him, he started to growl and hiss at Tony again, and grabbed the paper from him. Long story short, the bus driver separated us. For some time after that, meaning the rest of the year and up until the middle of 8th grade, he would constantly harass me about being his
soft boy lover.
He was always telling me that he would want to make me his by
getting his guys to kidnap me and show me how great he is.
Jesus Christ. There's more that I didn't want to bring up since it was a while ago, and I don't want to have to remember that again, so I'll just end things here. TLDR. Oh boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast. Kidnap you and show you how great he is. What is going on? Part of me really wants to call this story out as fake. I mean, it is believable. The part that rubs me wrong is like where OP and Neckbeard's names are in the story, and OP is such a smooth brain that apparently his friend is the one that has to point it out. I do like the growling and hissing stuff. I've seen Neckbeards do it too, and it is absolutely off-putting. You're like, do you think you're a cat person? Do you think you're a dog person? Do you think you are a cat-dog person? We've seen plenty of stories about, you know, people writing fanfics as like a weapon of mass seduction and stuff like that. See the Iowa Beard story that I've read on my channel previously for some proof of that. So I don't know. It's within the realms of possibility. There's just a couple of hitches in the story where I'm like, I don't know. I'm definitely glad that OP has Tony to like stick around and kind of be the shield from Neckbeard, but definitely take these things seriously. Like, threatening to kidnap somebody is no joke. This could seriously go overboard way fast, and I hate to think about that, you know. We're all sitting around having a laughy good time, but also, dude, be careful. I'm totally serious. It was a while ago, so I assume that the danger has passed, but still, OP, please just keep your eyes peeled. With that said, we will get into one more story, which is technically 2 parts of the same story. And then I'm going to get out of here. Pugbeard, the Dragon Hunter. Note, I made this account to share this story to cope with what has happened in the past. I'm writing this from my phone, so please forgive formatting problems, and English is not my mother tongue, so I hope that you forgive grammar or typo fails. Now, on to the characters. About me, I'm Katyusha, a bubbly Russian girl, and even though I live in the US now, I still love Russian culture and the food. I also have a lot of interests that attract neckbeards. I love dragons, anime, swimming, and sauna, and everything that is somehow fantasy related in general. And we have Pugbeard, the neckbeard in our story. He is a 300-pound blubber tank that smells like old grease, old Cheetos, mixed with Axe body spray, and his breath could seriously be considered a weapon. Not even the fire breath of a real dragon could be this deadly. I do appreciate he's trying to cover all that with Axe body spray though, I guess. We also have Leah. Leah's the first girl I met in high school. She was there longer than I and always aided me when I was in trouble. She's into steampunk and heavy metal and generally a really tough girl. Tougher than I was. We did a lot of things together and became very close friends during the story. Julian, Leah, and I became an awesome trio during the story. He's into sports and video games and loves different cultures, languages, and is open to new stuff in general. He would always help me out as well, protecting me from Pugbeard from time to time. Now, on to the story. I migrated to the US from Russia when I was 16 years old, due to my father who got a job here. At first I had trouble with the language, but thanks to summer break and a lot of language classes, I managed to get somewhat decent at English. After the summer break was over, our family was established in our new home, and I was about to go to my new school for the first time. I was really nervous, so I decided to wear my black shirt with a Chinese dragon on it that I bought here after our arrival, along with a black skirt. I really loved jewelry, and I had a lot of them, so I decided to wear an Ann Stokes necklace with a dragon on it, along with some dragon-themed bracelets. I got onto the bus since I didn't have my driver's license yet. I'm pretty nervous on the way, and this feeling doesn't stop as I enter the school. After a lot of formal stuff at the principal's office, I walked through the school a bit disoriented, hoping for someone to guide me to the class. This is when somebody approached me with a friendly smile. It was Leah. She said with a friendly tone, "Hey, never saw you here. You must be the new girl. Do you know where your class is?" I shook my head and answered nervously, "No, not yet. Can you help me out?" I showed her the paper with my classes on it, to which she responds, "Oh, sure. We have some classes together. I know where you have your class. Follow me," she answered before walking to the classroom while I followed. We had a nice talk on the way, exchanging names, hobbies, and interests, etc., making me slightly less nervous. As we arrived in the class, we sat down, and soon after we started. This is where I saw Pugbeard coming late to class. Our teacher was annoyed and asked him why he came late, to which he responds,
"I don't know which class I had. It's not my fault."
Our teacher, who probably didn't want to argue on the first day, I think, just asked him to sit down with a slight annoyance in her tone. To my dismay, the last remaining seat was right next to me. From now on, you all know what happens. He sat down next to me. As he did this, I'm sure I heard the squeak of the chair due to his immense body weight, and he was eyeing me up and down the whole time. I kept looking at the teacher, trying heavily to avoid gagging due to the waves of disgusting smell emanating from Pugbeard. And then I noticed how the smell gets stronger, due to him getting slightly closer to me. Then our gallant hero wants to strike up a conversation, starting with a totally creepy question.
"What does such a beautiful little milady,"
yes, he did say this,
"doing here? And how have I managed not to notice her yet?"
My face involuntarily turns into a blush of embarrassment and confusion, and all I managed to say was, looking to my right at Leah for help. The way she looked at me already told me that I was in trouble. He then proceeds to ask the same question again. The teacher somehow notices this and says, "Katyusha, you haven't introduced yourself yet. Do you want to come to the front and introduce yourself?" I now was torn about whether to go to the front and introduce myself or sit and endure the questions of Pugbeard. I decided to go to the front, good choice, and introduce myself and answer questions of my classmates, most of whom were actually quite nice and cool. Pugbeard didn't ask a question, so I thought he heard everything he wanted to know, and that he was just plain curious on who I was. Oh, how wrong I was. After the class, Leah and I packed up and left to the break. After we were at the lockers, Leah told me the following. "Hey, Katyusha, here's a little advice from me. Stay clear of this guy. You understand? He is totally weird, but do you want to meet some less weird guys?" I accepted the invitation, and we both went to a spot where she and her friends always meet. This is where I met Julian, and we all had a really good time together, exchanged numbers, etc. The whole day went by pretty good, and with Leah and Julian at my side, I felt much better. When I left the school to go home, I met Pugbeard again, who waited at the front of the school. He proceeded to waddle towards me, and I think I saw the pole with the American flag wobble a little with each step that he took, before he stopped, standing in front of me, rubbing his beardy neck. To look intellectual, I guess.
"So, Katyusha, you have a weird name for being such a pretty dragoness."
I tilted my head and took a step back. Did he just insult and compliment me in one sentence? Why did he call me dragoness? More question marks popped up around my head, and I began looking around for my ride home. Luckily, I saw my mom pulling up in front of the school, so I quickly answered, "Thanks, I guess, but my mom's here, so bye," before walking around him to the car. How long did it take to get around him? Like 30 minutes? I think he did follow me asking questions that I couldn't understand, but I got into the car and my mom starts with the average first day of school questions. When we arrived at home, I spent the rest of the day messaging my new friends and having nice conversations, not telling them about the encounter with Pugbeard. It's the end of the first story. I have plenty more, and if you're interested, I'll tell them to you. Until then, I wish you a wonderful time. Oh, but it was only the beginning, dear friends. There are more adventures with Pugbeard, the Dragon Hunter. So let's not delay as we jump right into the second part. Pugbeard, the Dragon Hunter, Part 2. Since you guys were curious how the story continues, I present to you the next part of the tale. The cast. Copy and pasted from the last story. So no problem there. Oh, except we add Mr. T. Mr. T. The teacher who teaches the class that I and Pugbeard share, for now. He's pretty chilled, supportive, and gives his best to the students, which Pugbeard doesn't seem to appreciate. Now on to the story. In the first story, I was just new to the school. This second story takes place 3 months after I had joined the school and had the weird first encounter with Pugbeard. In these 3 months, nothing too creepy happened with him, except he would disturb me in the middle of the course that I had with him by always telling me stuff like,
"Girl, you are so pretty. We should hang out together."
Or about his hobbies, or really creepy stuff like,
"I would keep your dragonness as my queen."
Which, what the hell's that even mean? Which really irritated me the most, and only caused me to feel unsafe around him, and this led to Leah lecturing him about shutting up. I only answered these questions with sentences like, no, or shh, we're in class. Luckily, we only had one course together, and when we were dismissed for lunch or break, Leah and I would leave pretty fast to avoid him. We luckily never had a lot of encounters, and I hoped that it would stay like that. Until we had to do a group work project for a presentation together. The teacher assigned us to groups by random pick, and I had the luck to get assigned to work with Pugbeard. Hooray! It took a brief moment for me to realize that, and even though I ignored Pugbeard, I felt my inner sense telling me that he had a shit-eating grin on his face. 15 minutes before the lesson ended, Mr. T said, "I pity the fool." No, he said, "Now go to your partner and talk a little about your project and how you want to organize it." Since Pugbeard and I sat together, he just had to turn around to talk to me. While Leah left reluctantly, Pugbeard nudged my arm and asked me something that made my blood freeze.
"Now, Katusha, it looks like fate has finally brought us together. Could you please give me your number now?"
I blushed, irritated, and turned to him. "I only give you my number for this project and for school matters, okay?" To which he answered,
"Whatever, just give it to me."
I only sighed and started telling him my number while he wrote it down. I reluctantly told him my number, digit by digit, and some stories about Leah and Julian and the other students. I won't get into details here since these stories are for another time, where he would prove that these stories weren't just rumors. As the break began, Leah and I would reunite and meet up with Julian, to whom I told what had happened in the last lesson. He was a little worried and told me, "Whatever happens, Katusha, if you get uncomfortable while you're at his place or yours to do the project and feel uncomfortable, just write me a quick message and I'll help you out." Leah added, "Don't forget about me, Julian." I smiled happily and responded, "Thanks guys, you two are the best." And then proceeded to hug them, and as I did this, I felt my phone buzzing in my pocket, of course. When I pulled it out, I saw that Pugbeard had messaged me 5 times. The messages consisted of non-project related nonsense like,
"Hey, Katusha, want to meet up next break?" Or, "I want to introduce your dragoness to my friends."
My face became a little pale. Just one message was about the project, and he asked,
"Should we make the project at my place or yours?"
Since I didn't know what to answer, I showed the phone to my friends, who told me to ignore the first 2 messages and just tell them to meet up at my place. A little puzzled, I asked them, why would I want to do that? Julian answered, "Trust me, it's better to do the project at your place. His family and house is beyond weird and creepy." When I thought about it a little harder, it made sense to me. I would feel much more confident and safer in chambers that I know. The day went by quite normal without any embarrassing neckbeard encounters. Fast forward, I told him to meet up at my place and gave him the address. He told me that
he has time the same day.
So I agreed to it, and he held his promise. I prepared the dining room table with books, a laptop, paper, and some markers. I then proceeded to wait awkwardly, fiddling around with a matryoshka. For those who don't know, a matryoshka is a hollow figurine made out of wood, and when you open it, there's a smaller figurine inside. And if you opened it again, there's, you guessed it, again, a smaller figurine inside. It's used as a decoration or as a charm, and for me in that moment, it was clearly a charm. And then, all of a sudden, I heard the doorbell ring. I sighed and tried to look confident while going to the door to open it, and Pugbeard was standing there with a gigantic bottle of soda and a giant already open package of Doritos. Was the soda Mountain Dew? By his face and shirt, I saw that he had already eaten some. He then began to say,
"Oh, hi, my queen,"
as he squeezed himself through the door, spitting out some Dorito pieces onto our doorstep. It was truly disgusting. I answered, still in a friendly tone, "Hi, Pugbeard, follow me," and started walking to the dining room and sat down at the table. I could hear him huff behind me as he followed. When he finally got to the dining room and sat down, I could hear the chair making an eerie squeak. I gritted my teeth visibly while I heard it. He looked around the room and started mocking the decoration.
"This is your room? What's all this weird stuff here for?"
I became a little angry, since he was calling the decorations and pictures of my home and family weird, to which I answered, "No, this isn't my room, this is our dining room, and the weird decorations are from our old home in Russia. Don't call it weird." He looked insulted at me talking back like this, and defended himself with more insulting words.
"Well, it's from a former communist country, and not really normal in America, so it's weird. I bet your room has better decoration."
Oh, foot, meat, mouth. I just love how awkward this guy is. It's horrible. I proceeded to drop the topic and answered, "Well, I don't really have a good connection in my room, so we can't go in there. You know what? Let's just start our project," I answered as I started the research on our project. He, on the other hand, only ate Doritos and drank his soda, asking me more nonsense questions like,
"What's your favorite anime? Do you like vampires or werewolves more?
Or,
what are your hobbies?"
I only answered these questions with short responses, trying to focus on the project. He then finally also started working on the project, and after a while he excused himself to the toilet. "OP, no! He's gonna make a Dorito mess in your toilet." I told him where to go, and as he left to the toilet, I opened the window, taking a breath of fresh air and sighing in relief. If I had spent another hour with him so close to me, I probably would have thrown up onto my laptop. I then started working on the project again, finishing my part. This is where I noticed that Pugbeard was in the restroom for a very long time. I sighed and got up, shouting through the house for him, and after shouting 3 times, I finally heard him rolling down the hall, huffing,
"Coming, Katusha!"
Since I didn't want to know the details of what he did in the restroom, I didn't ask him any questions. I definitely didn't want to know any of those dirty details, but he seemed to be very excited and working on the project very fast with this constant weird smile. I didn't think anything of it since he was finally working on the project. After some time, he also finished his part of the project and asked me if
"We should go to my room,"
which I declined since it was already dark and I really didn't want his smell in my room. I told him that I still have to do something. He looked a bit sad after that and got up, taking his Coke and Doritos and heading to the exit. I followed, opening the door for him, and he squeezed himself through the doorway and then turned around saying something that really weirded me out.
"I know that you like me. I know that you don't have a human soul, but a dragon soul trapped in a human body."
I tilted my head and didn't answer this question, and just said goodbye, closing the door. I turned around shaking my head before heading to my room with hundreds of questions. When I entered my room, I sighed in relief, but I noticed a weird smell lingering around, which caused me to shoot up. I realized that while he excused himself to the toilet, in reality, he was actually searching through my room. That's why it took him so long. I got angry at this, but to avoid trouble, I just decided to ignore it, and to answer messages that were project-related, which sadly, they weren't. The presentation went fine, and the teacher even gave us a good grade for it, but This still didn't make up for how uncomfortable I felt the whole time that I had to spend with Pugbeard. It only gets worse from this point, but that's a story for another time. Thank you for reading through this story. I hope you liked it, and forgive my grammar mistakes and typos. Advice and critique and questions are always welcome. And up until the next time, I want to wish you a wonderful time. A dragon soul trapped in a human body? Bro, this is what happens when we release Skyrim on so many systems, okay? This guy has now convinced himself that he's Dragonborn. I'm about to FUS RO DAH'D his ass out the window. Oh god, it's so unfortunate that you had to let him in your house, but yeah, I guess the alternative wouldn't have been any better, being trapped in his fucking neckbeard nest. Ugh. That story would probably be way worse, and I'd have more people in the comments like, you made me almost vomit. I'm sorry. It's not me, it's the Neckbeards. Jesus Christ, it's like letting a vampire into your house, you know? He has to christen the door jamb with some Doritos before he can squeeze himself through it. That's why he sprinkled some Doritos on your doormat. I've got it all figured out. I should write like a zombie survival guide type of book, but instead it's like a neckbeard survival guide. I'm going to be an expert on these pretty soon. Give it another 6 months. You guys are going to be amazed by the knowledge I'm dropping.
I'm studying their culture. I'm integrating myself.
It's only a matter of time before I start doing these videos entirely in Japanese. Oh wait, that's weeaboos. They're kind of closely related. I'm thinking about doing a video trying to explain the difference between neckbeards, nice guys, weeaboos, incels, white knights. I just don't know how to make a Venn diagram that's that big. Let me know if you'd be interested in it. But anywho, we're gonna call that a video for now. I hope to see Pugbeard again in the future. I hope that you guys will like, comment, and or subscribe if you did enjoy the video. It is always appreciated. Also, check out all those links we got in the description. There's a ton of them. PayPal if you want to make a one-time donation. Twitter, Discord, Facebook if you want to reach out to me, get to know me a little more. And of course, Patreon for the recurring donations. Super, super important. Keeping my motivation at an all-time high. I want to thank my gorgeous patrons. Damon Darkstar, Lady Nix, Crimson Albedo, Dot Nathan, Robert Waits, Just Austin, Barlow's Bugo, and my two newest patrons. Thank you guys so much for joining up, Pope Squid and Rebecca H. It is massively, massively appreciated. If you guys can donate, have the means, then I would encourage it. But even if you can't, no pressure. You know what I mean? I just appreciate you guys being here with me today, and I hope that you join me again tomorrow. And in order to do so, you will need to keep yourself safe out there. So wear your masks, wash your hands, do the thing. Also, just as important as your physical health is your mental health. So make sure to take some time and do something that you enjoy today, because you are loved, you are worthy, and you definitely, definitely deserve it. I will see you guys again tomorrow. So until then, friends, bye-bye.